Hi everyone. Today we are going to be planting up some shade planters. So what you've got today you're going to be planting it up. Yep. And I'll be talking about it. So I didn't even look to see what she pulled, but she said, I'm thinking of let's do a shade planter. And not everybody has full blasting sun. So we have to have some options for the shade. So you pulled some begonias.
Some Dusty Miller.
Okay.
And some alyssum.
Okay.
And the alyssum's really tiny. It's got that little delicate flower, but it's going to grow up to be a pretty good size.
Yeah, and alyssum is typically going to be sun, but a lot of times you can bend the rules with some of these plants.
It's sun to part shade.
Yeah, so you can really bend the rules as long as you give them really good care. When you are not doing things exactly like the tag says, then your care needs to go up. But I would not worry about alyssum at all in this. So you've got the Homilus begonias. The Homilus are a very, very pretty. It has smaller flowers, but there's more of them. So
you can see them, they're all tucked buds all up in here. So this whole thing is just going to be a mass of flowers.
So the Homilus has more smaller flowers compared to the tuberous, which has much bigger flowers. And you still do have to go through and clean them up. Yeah, that one's got a lot in it, almost like a ruffled
this
flower.
One is glory pink. So I decided to go with more of the pastel colors.
Why is that? Just because?
I don't know. This year I've been kind of into the pastels, but.
All right.
When I plant up a planter, I know that it's going to fill out and it's all going to be gorgeous, but the initial appearance of it, I like to position them so that the color is instantly looking at me and looking great. If you look at, do you see how there's lots of color here? If I did it like this, do you see the change? And look if I turned it. Now this is all going to fill out, but for that instant, I like to make it.
Because you're floral shop trained, and so you really spend a lot of time on where the directions the flowers, and sometimes when they'll be facing the sun, they'll kind of turn. So you like to put in your planter everything going the right way. And you've corrected me several times, and I just, I didn't look at it. I look at the potential, like everything's going to fill in and turn. But you're like,
See,
right now.
This is where we change on potential or not.
Yeah, right. So
I like to do it. If you look, doesn't it look cute already? And you can see where if I would have turned that around, the potential is it's going to be all beautiful and they're going to grow nice and big and full and kind of meet together. But initially, just looking at it for the first week, I want to be able to see it just look really pretty, like almost like a flower arrangement.
Yeah. So
not just the potted, but if it was fresh cut. So I'm going to put in
a Dusty Miller.
A little Dusty Miller.
And that just helps give a pop of color, even though it doesn't have flowers on it, but it gives that just that contrast with the white leaves.
It's got that little frost to it. Do you want to talk about the roots?
Sure. So you can see that it has a lot of roots going on here, and that's good. And some people get real concerned about some plants being root bound, and if they're getting the nutrients, they're not going to care, and they're going to perform like they should. But you can see there's a whole root ball here, and we're not going to break it up because we're putting it into good soil, and we talk about that a lot. There's no need to go through it and break up those roots. If you're putting in good soil, it's going to root in. The trouble that you will run into is you go and buy that junk at the big box stores, and yeah, guess what? That plant's not even going to root in. It'll be 2-3 months down the line. This plant will look the same as it did 3 months ago because there was no reason for it to root in. It's literally like you filled this planter up with a whole container of packing peanuts, and then you put this plant in, and it just wouldn't root into that because there's no reason to it. So that's why we always preach, use good quality soil, and that plant will root in. So you're done with that already.
I am.
That's all it takes.
What I did is I have my spike in the middle, so that's going to give me my tall look. I have my focal flowers, which are these begonias, and you can see there's the peach, pink, and a light yellow. And then I put Dusty Miller. I tucked it up kind of close to the spike because that is going to grow a little bit taller.
Yeah, they get tall.
And fuller. And I did 3 of them so that I'm just symmetrical here. And then I put my alyssum down towards the front because that's going to get fuller and kind of not trail down, but
it'll bush out,
kind
yeah,
of,
can mound
kind
over,
of just
yeah,
mound over
and
a
fills
little
that whole area in. It looks like a space is there, and it is for now, but that will all fill in.
Can you see how that looks?
Yeah, it looks great.
And so my vision is as this grows up, everything will grow up and come out and be more of a rounded look.
Sure.
Rather than like my alyssum on the inside where I can't see it and the Dusty Miller on the outside.
So this is the, the begonias that are colorful, that are Rex begonias, and we'll show those in a separate video. Those are begonias that just the foliage, and they're really unique. But if you're looking for other shade plants, there are other possibilities. So
Right.
yeah, again,
And
not
there's lots of stuff. You could have done impatience in here.
Yep.
You could have done just
Even
one
to
of these.
fill in.
And yeah, you could have done tons of stuff. But this is the one that I chose today.
Yeah,
I just
that's
thought
what
it's
you were
gonna look-
feeling.
Yeah, it just looked so, it looks so springy.
Yeah, sure. And I'm going to go through it, and because we get asked this quite a bit too, and I'm going to put in a handful of slow release fertilizer, and I just go through and I tuck it around that plant. And the slow release fertilizer, that is not a replacement to be feeding once a week with the Beat Your Neighbor fertilizer. There's nothing wrong with the slow release, and we use it in our containers, in our hanging baskets, but it's slow release. So it's just giving a little trace element of feed to the plant. And it lasts like 3 months long, so you have to remember that it's just getting a little bit. So it's not a replacement. You still have to feed at least once a week, fertilize once a week with the Beat Your Neighbor fertilizer, and that gives it the proper nutrients. The slow release is just a supplement. I liken it to taking a vitamin, a daily vitamin. You're not going to pop a Flintstone vitamin and be like, yeah, you know what, I don't need to eat because I had a vitamin. It's not the same. So that's kind of like a vitamin. The fertilizer is the food.
Also, what I was going to say is I did leave, when I was filling in with the soil, I put everything in it. Everything's nice and firm in there. But I did leave a little bit of a gap going all the way around. And that is for when you water it, that it doesn't, if you have the soil too far up and it's more of that mound coming down, it's just going to shed off and it's going to run right out of the pot. And what I'm trying to do with that little bit of a lip in there is to keep that gap so that the water is contained and it actually goes back into the plant instead of shutting off.
Catches it.
Yeah, it
Catches it and keeps it where it needs to go. And then watering.
And drainage.
Yeah.
You have to have drainage.
Yeah, and there's holes on there. Yep, there they are. So, and now watering, that's a question that we get, and it's something you really need to pay attention to if you're talking shade plants, because this is going to be in the shade, so it's not going to be in that full blasting sun, probably not the full blasting heat of the day. So you really have to watch your watering, that you're not over-watering, especially begonias. They have a very delicate root system, so you can rot the roots by over-watering.
So what you do for a sun planter that's out in the hot blazing sun and, really taking on a lot of that, it might not be the same amount that you do for this.
Yeah, you really have to, check that. This is a small container. You can kind of lift it and get an idea of how heavy it is. We like to go by the heft, whether it's this or a hanging basket.
Moisture meter.
A moisture meter is a great tool to go through. Put it down deep in there so you're not just in that top inch of soil. Get it down in there so it gets an accurate reading of what's the moisture content of that soil.
But this is going to turn out beautiful.
That's going to be very, very good.
I
Nice
think
job.
the hard part about our job is we put stuff together and they were like, ooh, that would look nice on my own porch.
Right, yeah, I want to keep them for us. I have that problem. There's so many,
He's like,
oh,
don't sell that one.
yeah, that's
keep
for
that
me.
One.
And then we end up having a lot of flowers.
We call it research and development.
Yeah, right. So there's there's one example. We'll be doing more containers, more planting. Be sure to like this video, but also follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel, we literally have hundreds of how-to videos there. There's so much information there. There's no reason that you can't find the question that you're looking for, whether it's soil or containers or hanging baskets. And we spend a lot of time with watering, because watering is one of those things that gets so many people tripped up. We have lots of videos on how to water correctly. Just having greenhouses, we know most people get that wrong. So we have lots of videos on watering, lots of other how-to videos at our beatyourneighbor.com website, where you can find the fertilizer, our Beat Your Neighbor fertilizer. That's all at our beatyourneighbor.com website. All right.
So I hope you enjoyed. Happy planting this spring.
All right.
And we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.